Live from the backstretch at Saratoga, this is the Handicappers Report. The Handicappers Report is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. And CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report, coming to you live from the backstretch of Saratoga Race Course. Alongside Seth, Merrow, I'm Anthony Mormino, and to be redundant, again, it is spectacular out the day after the Alabama Stakes. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, you're correct. Although we have returned with the heat and humidity, even at this time in the morning, it's already, you can feel it. So, and yesterday morning was great, but it was another one of those days where as the day creeped along, the humidity creeped in. It was a perfectly beautiful day for going to the horse races and great racing as well. But again, it's been Saratoga Summer 2022, and it looks like it's going to continue this afternoon.
It's been amazing. I mean, I think we've been stuck on 5 off-the-turf races, 5 or 7, something like that, for a very, very long time. I should almost look it up to see if this is the longest duration, because they were kind of bundled together.
Yeah.
So this has been, I would say, without even looking, I would say a minimum of 15 straight, maybe 20 straight racing days of no off the turf. That's outstanding. Remember, we have 11 racing days after today, so that makes today day 29. Pretty good. And
2 weeks, 5 days, and then Memorial or a Labor Day.
I wish it was
6-day week.
Memorial Day would be great. And then remember, they go to Aqueduct. I don't think we've ever said that at Saratoga, and I don't know if they're racing on Friday, but I'm sure they'll be racing on Saturday.
I think there's a
is the condition book out?
Actually, no.
You mean even bigger? Oh, that's right. They have taken that first weekend off.
Yeah,
I believe. Oh, this would be like the old days in Southern California when after Del Mar they ran at Pomona and Fairplex for about 3 weeks.
Oh, she said Fairplex. There you go. There's a blast from the past.
Yeah,
the old Fairplex. Yeah,
I'm old.
Well, yeah, me too. Me too.
And I remember when they knocked down Fairplex, a little tear came to the eye. But you go back to the 70s, the Pomona, and then they go to Oak Tree, usually about October 3rd. But they'd be, big time racing would take about 3 weeks off in Southern California, and Seth is trying to find out when they're running at Aqueduct.
The calendar is not coming up.
All right, but we think maybe it might be like a 10-day break.
I think that may be. Yeah.
Wow.
I think
this is good. Good for some of us.
I'll look it up and find out for sure.
You can forward Seth's mail to Maine if that's the case. So, Ness yesterday, dynamic again. Secret Oath, I was glad to see she ran a little bit better.
She ran great, but
just not competitive with the Beast. I don't know what her buyer speed figure will be coming off the 104 in the Oaks. You got it there. Is it public knowledge yet?
It is. What did I do with the chart? We are looking at a 99 for now.
So she regressed, which is reasonable. I'm wondering, was it the high buyer of the day? What could Echo again possibly have gotten when he blitzed 6.5 furlongs?
Echo again in a debut effort, 94. That's a good number for a 2-year-old in August.
The 2-year-old filly Prank had received 91 earlier in the meet.
Prank on the sidelines now, unfortunately.
Yeah, so there you go with that. So a dynamic 2-year-old debut, which was beautiful, and always be leery of 6.5 furlong timing mechanism. I know he went like 115 and change, and I always just think off the top of my head, honestly, Seth, for 2-year-old colts, I was thinking that might be the fastest since a firm's hopeful.
It was.
I mean, I can't be off. I would bet a lot it's a top tenner for 2-year-old colts. I would bet 3/4 of a lot that it's a top 5er, and I would probably bet a 6-pack of Pepsi that a top 3 since Affirm's. And by the way, Affirm's hopeful was 1977. So
Chart margin just under 7 lengths. Went off as the 3 to 5 favorite, so folks kind of had the buzz. Certainly, but by Gun Runner, a sibling to Pneumatic, who was a good runner that won the first couple for Steve Asmussen in the winner's circle after the race. Steve said his son had been riding this horse and said the best he's been on. Ricardo Santana got off the horse after the race, said he's faster than his father. So that's interesting as well. So be one to watch.
If he can
forward.
develop the way his father did, that'll be. If he can develop 80% as well as his father did, that will be outstanding. One thing I was thinking when we were doing the racing yesterday, and this is what one of the questions, because I think a trainer would be very forthright with their response. Remember earlier in the meet, we had the 7 furlong scheduled dirt races, and I had mentioned that they were the earliest on the calendar I could remember, and the date that pops in my head is about August 6th, because usually they would come out about now.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if, because they ran 6.5, which, by the way, we don't run 2-year-old maiden special weight races at 6.5 to 11. Matter of fact, the most famous one I can think of, a rarity, was Tis the Law. But we run 6.5 very infrequently, and since they since they extended the hopeful to 7/8, we run 2-year-olds at 6.5 in non-stakes company, I should say, very infrequently. And I was just wondering if Steve Asmussen was just thinking, I definitely don't want to go 5.5, and maybe I don't even want to go 6. And he got to 6.5, and he dropped him in because I don't know when the next 7 is coming. But he looked good because not only it didn't look, and his final running time it didn't look like he was heck bent for leather to make the front, and he made it pretty easily. And then he just exploded. And like I said, I often think of the teletimer when it's going 6.5, that it's, questionable. I was also trying to think, not even the winning, how about Peaceful Waters winning by a dozen and then going 109 and change. So there was a couple of quick dirt races yesterday, and we haven't seen.
Peaceful Waters 96 buyer.
Okay. And we haven't seen that many quick dirt races on the teletimer, Seth. I mean, I don't think we've gotten 121 yet for 7/8, but we sub 110 for Peaceful Waters. So, great day of racing.
It is a 10-day break. They come back on September 15th at Aqueduct.
Wow. That is now it'll be football season for me, so I will, that's a lot of downtime. That's good. That's good.
We'll break for everybody. Not that.
And I'm wondering if Aqueduct
won't find other.
And I'm wondering if Aqueduct will run like 4 days a week even when they come back. I don't think they're going to run 5 days.
Well, they're starting on a Thursday, so.
So 4-day weeks. So you're thinking, all right. Remember, it's
I don't know
Aqueduct,
this.
not Belmont. And here's one for you, Seth. And do you think next race will be the Breeders' Cup?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't shock me by any means.
I was thinking, and now this was 20 years ago, Farda Amiga went from the Kentucky Oaks to the Alabama to the Breeders' Cup and won a 3-year-old Philly championship. The other thing I was also thinking, we talk about these 6-figure allowance races in New York. 20 years ago, the Alabama had a bigger purse by $150K than they run now. Not even adjusting for inflation. They ran for $750,000 at the beginning of this century for about 5 years, and they've been running it for $600,000. So as we've seen the maidens and the allowance entry level explode, we haven't seen that at the top. And obviously that was a mathematical business decision they made, but I was just thinking, in raw dollars, they ran the Alabama for $150K more 22 years ago. So adjusted for inflation, that's like 200,000 more, but Ness was brilliant. And I think we've talked about this. You have an Eclipse ballot, right?
I do.
I do not. I only have a Hall of Fame ballot. I think we have seen the 3-year-old Philly championship locked up.
I would say that too, but I was thinking last night, if these two met again in the Breeders' Cup Distaff and Secret Oath won, wouldn't you have to reevaluate that thought?
Because she would have the Oaks in the Breeders' Cup.
Beating older. And if Ness was in that race as well, beating Ness.
That's an excellent point. My answer is I misspoke. You are correct. If Secret Oath wins the Breeders' Cup because of the nature of voting, winning the Oaks and beating Olders in the Breeders' Cup. If Nest,
because I said the same thing.
If Nest takes a pass from here to the Breeders' Cup, I would agree with you.
I said the same thing after the race. I said they had to wrap up the Eclipse. But then as I thought about it, I thought, if they both wound up in the distaff and Secret Oath won the distaff,
I would agree with you.
Then that would change the equation a
yeah,
little bit.
Because the Oaks Breeders' Cup is bigger than the Coaching Club American Oaks, Alabama. As much as a tear might come to the eye, that is the truth. The Kentucky Oaks.
Nest had the other, the grade one at
Ashland.
Yeah, at Keeneland.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it would make it interesting, certainly, if that.
And I'll tell you what, though,
scenario
just thinking about it, I'm not so sure because I just dummy me. The second place in the Belmont for Nest is gigantic.
Yeah, but then you have the second in the Preakness for Secret Oath. So.
Yeah, okay, that's good though. We'll see. Secret Oath was better, which was good.
Yeah.
That was good. That she didn't
well.
regress.
Caravel looked good, bounced back off the disappointment in the Caress. Haughty gets to go out there and walk the dog. Haughty with the moonlight comes like a freight train, and I thought had the momentum, and I never played the pick six. And yesterday I thought I'm gonna take a shot. Put a $9 ticket together, went 5 or 6. I was not enamored with Haughty.
Well, on the inner turf and on the inside, which isn't as glistening as it was last Wednesday, Thursday, is still good. It's had all the advantages.
Yeah, down the backstretch, I knew this is going to be rough
tough
for me.
All right. The play of the day will be at the top of the hour, ladies and gentlemen, as Loose on the lead will be in with Steve Pick, and it's his turn for the play of the day. So
you kind of alluded to the big numbers. The attendance was announced 39,127. So a solid crowd showing up for Alabama Day. That was here at Saratoga. Out at Del Mar, I know you concentrated on Del Mar.
Yes.
On Saturday.
She was.
Cinderella. Oh yeah, phenomenal.
I will say this though. Trevor McCarthy went out there for Grand Motion, so kudos to them. But
Tyler Gaffleon.
Oh, Tyler Gaffleon, I'm sorry. I will say this. She was the best horse in the race. She was the chalk. She couldn't get a more perfect run. Not only was she sitting behind the leaders on the backstretch, she had so much room to just relax and then just pounce. And Tyler, it was easy. It was easy pickings. I went for the locals, and what's funny was, and I know you say this, we try to make it more difficult, the San Clemente is the local prep. And I tried to jiggle it around, but the winner of the San Clemente ran better than the horses again in the Grade 1 Del Mar Oaks. But Spenderella was brilliant. She was the chalk. Kudos to Grand Motion and others. She was much the best. But I'm telling you, you could not write up a script any better for her. And she got the job done, so she moves on.
Coming out of the second in Royal Ascot, they come back and get the go cross country and get the win in the Grade 1 Del Mar Oaks. And at FanDuel Sportsbook, it was rattle and roll in the St. Louis Derby at 7-5.
Is that Fairmount?
Yeah, the old
for
Fairmount.
The old. That's East St. Louis for everybody. But you know who I used to. This is only a couple years ago. Jay Randolph.
Yeah, I had him on the show.
Jay Randolph did the early Breeders' Cups with Harvey Pack, and he's out in East St. Louis.
Yeah, when we were doing the weekday morning show, I had him on a few times talking a little Fairmount. Yeah, it was fun.
It's on my list. I mean, I go see St. Louis baseball and go to Fairmount Racetrack. Those tracks to me look like a lot of fun. I tell people, as long as I get a soda and a good hot dog, to me, I'm way ahead of the crowd at a racetrack. So, you ready? We'll kick this off. Wrapping up week 6.
I just want to toss out for today. We looked at some other spots, but today, north of the border at Queen's Plate Day, stakes action kicks off with the King Edward Grade 2 event that looks to have.
Is that 7/8 on the turf?
Mile on
the
turf.
turf.
Shrill Spite in there for Roger Atfield. Wayburn goes up. Used to be in the Jimmy Jerkins
there it
barn.
Is.
Then was out there with Brendan Walsh. Now up with Rachel Halden. March to the Arch for Mark Cassie in there. Hadasha for Kevin Attard. So the King Edward, the Canadian Grade 2 event, 1 1/8 on the turf. Nice field in there as well. Crystal Cliffs for Grand Motion. He ships north of the border. And finally, it'll go up at about 5:42 tonight. The Queen's Plate, $1 million up for grabs for the 3-year-olds going 1.25 miles. A field of 10 is entered, but the filly coming out of the win in the Woodbine Oaks, 3 for 4 so far in her career, and won the Woodbine Oaks by over 10 lengths. Moira looks very intriguing this afternoon in the Queen's Plate, so keep that in mind for today.
Missing it?
Yeah, because they always treated us really well up there. And yeah, I do miss trips up to
I
Woodbine.
think call somebody. Is this the slot they now want, or are there intentions to get back to where they were for
I assume that,
2 generations?
That, a year or 2 in, that it would go back, but we'll see. Maybe they're happy with how it turned out so far.
I will say, somebody told me years ago that the Arlington Million was the first race that popped up. Other racetracks like having their big races while Saratoga's going on for the audience on the simulcasting world. All right. Ready?
I am.
All right. As we wrap up week 6, 2-year-old fillies, open company, mile 16th on the inner turf course gets us underway.
All right. I have it 5, 3, 4, and 2, and I'm going to go a little more into the 5 in a couple minutes because that's going to be my dark horse play of the day today, Cookie Crumb. So, again, I'll get a little more into that in a few. But underneath, Haystack goes out for Chad Brown, Peter Brandt. There's a sibling called Fort Washington that won in the second career start. Third in the debut, won in the second career start. So thought there was win early from win early connection. So Haystack in the mix. And Corningstone out of Ice Women, who obviously a reference to Anchorman, the Ron Burgundy story there. So
we have the same birthday.
Cleverly named.
Will Ferrell and I.
Very
also, same alma mater.
And I'm a Will Ferrell fan, so a fan of the name certainly. And I think this one, with the 3rd place finish last time on the shift to 2 turns in the turf, is set up to run well today. I say the 3rd place. That was that crazy race where the starting gate got stuck and it was declared a no contest. But you can still, this one kept on going and ran decently again. Going to 2 turns.
This is one of the horses that thought it was a race.
Yeah, do know. Other horses didn't go. So is this a verified 3rd place finish? No. But I think ran well enough to think, appreciated the situation. So we'll go in that direction underneath again today. I have it 5, 3, 8, and 4.
Boy, I'll tell you, I am, of all the things going on in today's card set, the price on the 2 horse in the opener might be my most fascinating moment. 10-1 on the morning line for a firster for Graham Motion, who draws well by Kingman. I mean, do we got to get the 2x4 out and hit you in the head? Middle distance turf. John Velasquez in the saddle. I am not good at this, but in my opinion, and the reason I'm not good at it is because I'm predisposed to like these horses, that he can't possibly be this price when the betting is done.
I will note. The Daily Racing Forum, great job by David Aragona. Some races, they have the notes underneath. And David Aragona made the notes and made the morning line. He noted this one sold at Tattersall's for just $59,000.
So it's only got 3 legs.
So that's, I think,
And a good point to point out, that's a disaster because now, so it's not relevant, and I don't have the stats, Kingman stands for about $200K. So what he stood for when this horse was foaled, you got to figure it was probably at least 60.
Yeah.
So you got less than the stud fee. That's bad. So maybe we only have 3 legs, but I didn't know that. But thanks to David, thanks to Seth. But positive message to me at 10-1. The workouts indicate they have 4 legs, so I'm going.
And he goes on in his stats and talks about the siblings and whatnot. The family seems live, so, and you're going to get the price if the morning line holds up. So
that's who I want. Positive message on the day. And for second, number 3, Haystack going out for Chad Brown, an offspring of the brilliant Warfront, who we saw on me doing this program. I think started at 15,000 and basically just went up every 3 months, and it's been 6 figures. And then the indomitable, more than ready offspring, Pleasant Passage, Shug, Firster, 2, 3, 4, and a very fun opener. I will say this: when all is said and done, because he has had the type of horse he had, no stallion that I can think of has had the length of top flight service as More Than Ready. I mean, not Seattle Slew, not Mr. Prospector. Nobody lasts 20 years. near the top of the game. Now he's sprinters or middle distance turf. It doesn't get everybody's blood boiling, but boy, he's been something.
Second race at Saratoga on Sunday afternoon. State-bred optional claimers. Non-winners are 2 other than the condition. 5.5 on the turf. The distance.
Just want to say the 8, 9, 10 are MTOs, so we have a field of 7 in the main body, and I don't think you need to be a meteorologist to guess that it's going to be a nice day at the track. 7-2-6 for me, Fan of Smoke on the outside, and I'm thinking today, Seth, is the last day of the year for the 27-foot rail setting. This horse has had 2 starts this year, both hit the board, beaten favorite in last. Irad Ortiz has the mount. Oh, quick thing also, Joel Rosario missed the mounts again yesterday, right? So
yeah, if he was ill in the morning, he was more ill in the afternoon.
Yeah, so
that was a rough day for him.
Yeah, so deep cover is my second pick. Tom Morley's runner comes out of 2 races back. 1, that was on a yielding turf course. First time trying this was the beaten favorite for 3rd, number 6 Yarrow for Christophe Clement. 7-2-6 in the second.
And I'm just trying to pull it up here
Yes.
to see the countdown on the West Point site. I think they're now. I had Terry Finley in the other day. They were a couple away from 1,000, and they are now the countdown go one away from. So this could put them over the top. West Point Thoroughbreds and Company have Phantom Smoke in here. I'm with you. I thought off the first couple of starts of the season.
Can't imagine how many would be in the winner's circle if they.
Oh man, Mike Rapoli yesterday when he was on the show said, yeah, you thought we had a lot of people in the winner's circle for the Coaching Club American Oaks? Wait until the Alabama. He wasn't kidding. There was like a procession coming down. Essentially half of the box seat section emptied out, came down, and they were in the photo for Nest. Good for them. But West Point has this one, who I think, again, is primed off the first couple of starts of the year. It looks like with the buyer numbers, maybe a little bit of an edge on this bunch. And again, 3rd start back, moving in the right direction. Yarrow in the 2nd spot, comes in off a couple of wins, a maiden breaker. And then it's always tough to zip through the next condition next time out. This one did it, so just a horse that's in very good form right now for Christophe Clement. And deep cover goes out for Tom Morley. Tried this company last time. And again, moving up a condition is sometimes, kind of tough. This one went through the non-winner, so 1, 2 starts back. And then last time, moved to the condition and just faltered a little bit. I think with that experience under the belt, maybe a little bit more competitive this afternoon. Do want to mention our friend Roddy Valente has Bustin' Shoutin' here, certainly rooting for Roddy and company to get a good run. But for me, in the second, I have it 7, 6, 2, and 4.
And in the old days, before with the New York Breds, before the optional claimers the number of horses who won on debut and then won their 1X and then their 2X, I have to tell you, Seth, I have like 30 years worth of data. I think it's fewer than 12 have had ever went bingo, bango, bongo the first 3. On to the third, 3-year-olds and up. Phillies, claimers 12-5. Racing right outside our front window here, 7/8.
2, 3, 4, and the 1 entry. As there is a 1 entry, my 2 is leaving from the rail, but we're getting 5-1 on a horse that I think seems to be in pretty good form at this level. Moved to Saratoga last time and ran a good second in a very similar race. That was on a muddy track at 6 furlongs. We'll see distance in the track condition if that moved the horse up. But 2 starts back, going a mile on a dry track down at Belmont, ran very well. So I just think the horse is in good form right now. And we'll go with that one on top. Jackie Davis looking for career win number 2 at Saratoga after the very, very popular victory for her up here. About a week ago, she returned to the winner's circle to much applause. 40 Smooth going out for the aforementioned Roddy Valente. Comes up, he was active with the claim box down at Gulfstream this winter, which was fun to see. Did claim this one off since January. You'd have to think that probably wasn't the game plan, but steady string of workouts, and comes back, what I do like, off of that layoff, comes back with the waiver. So they're showing a little bit of confidence. They're not waving it out there for the tag off the layoff. And then Lenny Kate in the 3rd spot. Interesting horse. Been going long on the turf in the last few starts. Been doing it against Allowance Company. Now drops in for a tag. That said, they picked this horse up for $25,000 back in December. and they've hit the board and won a couple of times, so they put enough money in the bank that moving back to this level, to me, isn't any kind of a negative. I think that just financially it all works out, but it is intriguing, the cutback and the move to dirt. There are dirt races underneath that are fair, though. So for me, 2, 3, 4, and the 1 entry.
2, 1A, 6 for me, and I have my girl Lexi. I think is in a good spot here, off of an effort that I think just a slight improvement here finds the winner's circle. She wouldn't be winning for her dad this time, but I'm sure it'd be just as exciting. And I think she's a major player in a race that I have to tell you is as wide open as they get. And I how the horizontal players. Now you're a pick 3 player, right? Now is that with regularity or
pick 4 more?
Oh, you're a pick 4 player.
Oh yeah, played pick 4.
They just wouldn't give you that 50-cent pick 3, so you abandoned them.
No, I was always a pick 4 player. I like the pick 3 because if the first leg in the pick 4 is like a $20 horse, with a 50-cent pick 3, I can back up with horses I didn't include in the pick 4 that are usually some prices.
Okay.
So that's why I like the 50-cent pick 3. I use it as a backup.
Okay. I understand. It's a pick 4 player. All right. And good luck getting through this leg. That is key part of the entry scheduled to break for the number 4 post position for Jeffrey Engelhardt, who's, had I want to say, was it April maybe? Was white hot down in New York. I mean, just was blitzing. Sends out this runner, Julian Leperoux, who I thought yesterday was brilliant on that turf win. I mean, just a great job getting to the finish. I think there was 4 horses on the photo finish, and his runner won it for third, number 6. So 2, 1A, and 6. A quick note, Seth, we are holding on 5 off the turfers, and they were, 2 of them were on the racing on July 21st. Then we had 1 on the 28th and 1 on the 29th. So we are clean for August.
And it did spit a little rain last night on my drive home, but it was very brief.
All right, so take a quick break. When we come back, more live for the backstretch of Saratoga.
Hello everyone, I'm Scott Vartley and I'm here at the West Condominiums in Saratoga Springs. And guess what? We are down to the home stretch. Everything is 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. Come make a selection of one of the greatest condos ever to be built in Saratoga Springs. We're starting in the upper 5s and the only rooftop penthouse available now under construction. Wow, just look at this patio. We have a rooftop pool, heated garage, balconies, and a gym. Call me at 518-281-6808.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops, my bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Handicappers Report on a Sunday morning after the first break. That means it's time for the Dark Horse Play of the Day. The smart bet is always the Dark Horse. Brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile, 445 Broadway, downtown Saratoga Springs. Make it a point to swing by. Tell them you saw it here on the network, and you'll enjoy browsing, I say it all the time, clothing, home decor, much, much more, but also some fun horse racing memorabilia at the Dark Horse. And stop by their sister store up the street, Impressions of Saratoga. Dark Horse yesterday was in the 5th race, Taking Candy, top of the stretch, and I think we're about 13-1 maybe. I don't remember exactly, but top of the stretch, I thought, we're going to get up there. And then it's flattened out a little bit, middle of the stretch. But top of the stretch, I really felt pretty good about it. I mentioned earlier, my dark horse today is in race number 1. We're going to kick it off with a 6-1 morning line price, Cookie Crumbs. It's Mike Rapoli, it's Todd Pletcher, Mendelssohn on top. Mendelssohn has been pretty good this year, and I'm glad I updated my stats, because when I originally handicapped, I had stats that wwere probably no more than a week and a half old, and I had 19 first-time starters with 4 winners, a couple seconds, and 3/3. But I updated it yesterday, 23, 5, 3, and 3. So the numbers got even better for Mendelssohn. We are looking at a horse who's pretty good, siring debut winners, but the dam produced a sibling that you might remember, because this one won in the career debut right here on July 21st, Up to the Mark. There was a lot of buzz about this horse, won nicely, a little bit of a belated debut, debuted as a 3-year-old again earlier in the meet, but looked very good doing it. So I thought there was some nice win early, top and bottom here. It's Todd Pletcher, it's Luis Saez, Mike Rapoli. Maybe the team's on a little bit of a roll after yesterday with Nest. I'll take the 6-1. I don't know. This is one of those that it's hard for me to know exactly what we're going to get on this one, but because it's one of those I could see ticking a couple points in either direction. But I think the 6-1 is very nice, and so we will take a look at that morning line and go with the dark horse play of the day on this Sunday afternoon. Race number 1, horse number 5, Cookie Crumbs. Dark horse play of the day brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile, 445 Broadway, downtown Saratoga Springs. All right, let's jump back in the action for Sunday afternoon. 4th race today, $16,000 conditional claimers. The condition, non-winners of 2 lifetime. The trip, 3/4 of a mile.
247 for me. Vincent gets my top pick. Hasn't started since Belmont Stakes Day. This is Oscar Merrow III. 2 races back. Broke the maiden for a tag. Tried the entry-level New York bred. Just too tough. Now goes to opening, a very reasonable position today. So Vincent will be my top pick. For second, Arthurian, right? Arthurian, yeah, which would be like the King Arthur age for them. Goes out for the 3rd start since September 2020. Won on their comeback. No surprise to me anymore. Hey, you've been off a while. Don't worry about it. Down the road. Tried this level, and you know what? Going 7/8 in early August here, not bad for second off that longer than a year layoff. For 3rd, number 7, Icon. Another horse off for a year, back-to-back 3rd place finishes. It's a great game we're playing nowadays. Robertino Diodoro, who hasn't won here, but has won at Del Mar, 2, 4, 7 in the 4th.
Yeah, it seems like I haven't pulled up the starters, but it seems like he's more of a presence out there this year than here.
Yes, I think that's very fair. I think his New York presence has been a little, less than when he, burst on our local scene a couple of years ago in the spring and did fantastic. Yeah. But you're right.
3, 7, 2, and 5 for me. El Segundo on top for Norm Cassie. Tried a distance and turf last time on the move up to Saratoga. That experiment. Well, the horse has been on the turf before, but it was in the first start of the career. But didn't fare very well that day. I think cutting back and getting back to the dirt, particularly with some class relief, second off the claim, may move this horse into a much, much better position today. Icon in the second spot. It is the Robertino Diodoro horse, but yeah, only 8 starters according to the Racing Form stats, which are, I printed up a couple days ago. But I think that's probably still about right because he's not starting that many horses, but no wins in the 8. But tried the mile down at Churchill 2 back out of the chute here last time. A couple of 3rd place finishes. I think the cut back to the 6 will be beneficial today. And then the cleverly named Vincent by McLean's Music, dropping out of State Bred Allowance Company. That move that I like quite a bit. I just wasn't enamored with this one on the move because it has only had 1 try at that level. Was in the State Bred Maiden claiming ranks before. The move, it's more potent to me if there's, at least 2 or 3 or 4. Even better if there's 5 or 6 starts at that State Bred Allowance level before you go into the the open claimer. So I'm using the horse. I think the horse is very, very playable, but on that angle, it wasn't as strong for me as it may normally be. In the fourth, I have a 3, 7, 2, and 5.
I'll give you one about the song Vincent. It is the song that Roberta Flack is referring to in her song, Killing Me Softly with his song. When she first heard Don McLean's song Vincent, that led her to getting together,
Wow.
Killing Me Softly with his
I
song.
did not. That is a deep dive.
Okay.
A song written about a song.
Yes. All right, I'll give you another one. Early in the meet on opening day, I mentioned how infrequently we ever run on the inner turf at 9 furlongs at the top of the stretch. And then we ran one on the first Saturday. Those have been the only two. We average about 3 a meet. And then what I hadn't realized, they were both really the same condition. One for the Phillies, one for the Colts. 3-year-olds only, optional 80s or 1Xs. But on to the 5th. Mile and an 1/8 on the Mellon Turf Course. Claimers, 3-year-olds and up, in for $32,000.
3, 6, 8, and 2. I think the 5 is very playable as well. Healing from Safi Joseph for Ken Ramsey. But I have the number 3 on top, Devamani, in what I think is a competitive race. But Devamani goes out for Chad Brown. String of stakes races down the page until the last race where the horse tried an optional claimer at Belmont for a bigger price. Now it just seems like, 8 years old, grew up at Saratoga. Let's maybe shop for a win and see if somebody wants to take the horse. But I think there's certainly some back class here to rely on. Second slot, Grand Journey. Claim for 25, 2 back down at Belmont out of a win. They bounced up to 40 last time here at Saratoga, ran a good second. I think splitting the difference today at the 32 level puts this horse squarely in the thick of things. But Rudy is just, it's going to be interesting to see how the meet winds up for him. But more importantly, when they go back to Aqueduct, then I would really start firing with them. It seems like
It's such a cyclical thing.
It's going to turn. And
Now, it's funny for Rudy with his operation. There's a lot of claimers. Certain barns that maybe don't play the claiming game, you have to step up when you win, so the cycle is very understandable.
And there is a cycle.
But for claiming guys, you would think you can move and groove. But boy, it's just been rough sledding. And I've reached out to take a couple with great trepidation, and that stone getting pushed up the hill.
Third spot, I have Tiberius Mercurius. It's Mike Maker. It's Luis Saez going a couple of turns on the turf. So
how much easier than that can it get?
We have seen that one be productive so far. So for me in the 5th, 3, 6, 8, and 2.
Also noticed, and I 5 of these runners, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, first off the claim. I'm a guy who pays attention to the claiming and the timing of them, and I have to tell you, I can't think of too many races where I've heard a handful first off the claim. 3, 6, 2 for me. Seth and I have the same exact end. Chad Brown's runner, like I said, layoff, time off, none of that matters. Obviously, this horse dropping way down. But I also mentioned earlier in the meet, I wasn't going to pay much attention to the fire sales. I was going to just go forward with them and not have the trepidation, and that's where I am here with Devani. For second, I have Grand Journey. Second off the $25,000 claim in a good effort. First off at 40 on opening day, and for third, number 2, Attentive, one of the first off the claims out of the Joe Sharp barn. Javier in the saddle, 3, 6, and 2 in the 5th.
And again, I always like to root for the locals. Rue, I'm assuming R-E-U-X, Rue, yes?
Yeah, that's a cooking word.
But is that the spelling of Rue for cooking, or isn't Rue for cooking? I would have said Rue for cooking was like R-U-E. A Rue?
Oh, you know what? It might be. I kind of glazed over it. I knew it was an R at the beginning and X at the end. You think it's UE?
I don't know. That's a good question. Not being a chef, but I know what a roux is. You
It's gravy.
just
It's the
stuff on the
sauce.
bottom and throw in a little flour. But anyway, regardless of how this is pronounced, it goes out for our friends at America's Pastime, and I always like to toss out when we have locals, so we're rooting for them with the number 1 horse. Here, I'll make it easy on myself there. All right, moving on to race number 6 this afternoon. Maiden Special 2-year-old Phillies, $105,000 up for grabs here. 6.5 furlongs is the trip, and I have written at the top of the page, loaded.
And this is certainly level. We talked earlier about the Alabama being $150,000 less. This is one that's kept up with inflation and going through. Now, Andy Shirley made a very good point yesterday before the racing yesterday that it seems as if the new ones coming on stage have gotten the backhand by the chocolate gelato and the bourbon bashes that had debuted at less than stellar. But I believe him. And obviously, yesterday Echo again kind of showed us. Here you go. Okay. So my time. There you go. We have one horse in the 257. If it's loaded, I hope I have the gun runner. That's Steve Asmussen going 6.5 furlongs. We're down the road. Three Chimney Farms. I like the old silks, not that they care. On debut today with Joel Rosario, be somebody else. I shouldn't say that till it's official, but Joel's missed a couple of days of racing. I haven't heard any word like there's going to be a day-to-day thing, like there'll be an announcement later this morning.
Oh, I don't know.
It's Sunday, so we'll see. But for a second-time starter, see if Rarify can repeat Chocolate Gelato and Bourbon Bash. Wesley Ward second, debuted as the beaten favorite, going 6th. The Offspring of Justify, and for third, number 7, second-time starter, who was runner-up for Belmont at a big price. Speltertini going out, the Offspring of Bernardini. 257. Now, you said loaded. Is the word out on somebody and I missed it?
Well, unfortunately for me, I have it 7, 8, 9, and 5, and I had the 2 down in the 5th spot. Your top pick, and unfortunately,
so you have
for
2
me,
of the firsters that I don't have.
Unfortunately for me, it was after I handicapped. I heard that Grand Love is. There's maybe a little bit of a word there.
Oh, so I might have fallen on the one.
And so, again, the comments are written by Mike Beer here, but he makes the great. You gotta love when they look at the workouts. And the Breeze on August 8th was in company with Powerful, who missed in a photo with a 75 buyer, so that kind of bodes well. Those company works where you can kind of maybe get a little.
Well, I guess we're going to find out off the
and I'm not saying that's necessarily where the buzz came from. I just heard buzz yesterday on this.
Okay.
After the nice win.
Echo again.
Yeah. So.
Don't worry, I got one tomorrow too.
Okay.
I got the Philly tomorrow. Don't worry.
We'll see, but I put Spelterini on top. Nice second place finish, and I'm in the other direction. I love to look for the first-time starters because I think you can find some value there. But experience does count, and this one looked very good in the debut, so I'll tilt in that direction. Rosie's Alibi, paid a lot of money for this horse right up here. Has a sibling called Rose's Vision, however, that took 6 to win, but was a pretty good runner. So I'll go in that direction for Todd Pletcher. Peak popularity, Mendelssohn on top. It's Chad Brown-Klarovich runner. They always appeal to me as win early types. Rarify with the race under the belt for Wesley Ward. This is a sibling to Run Happy that could be very live in here. And if you go down the page, there's the one horse from Chad Brown that has some breeding. There's the 4 horse Mrs. Comer for Ken McPeak, who could be interesting. Again, this is a nice race for the 2-year-old fillies, but I have it 7, 8, 9, and 5, and regret not putting the 2 up.
I must confess, I thought you were going to say the buzz was on the 9, and I was sunk. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, the late pick 4.
It only takes one upset to make history, and now you can be part of Saratoga's long tradition at the Dark Horse Mercantile. The Dark Horse Mercantile offers a carefully curated selection of clothing, gifts, and home decor, from one-of-a-kind vintage racing memorabilia to select brands like Barber and Under Armour, as well as exclusive Dark Horse branded merchandise. So celebrate the Dark Horse in all of us at the Dark Horse Mercantile, downtown Saratoga, where the smart bet is always the Dark Horse.
Hello everyone, I'm Scott Vartley, and I'm here at the West Condominiums in Saratoga Springs. And guess what? We are down to the home stretch. Everything is 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. Come make a selection of one of the greatest condos ever to be built in Saratoga Springs. We're starting in the upper 5s, and the only rooftop penthouse available now under construction. Wow, just look at this patio. We have a rooftop pool, heated garage, balconies, and a gym. Call me at 518-281-6808.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Handicappers Report, race number 7 on this beautiful Sunday, wrapping up week number 6. 3 turns, mile and a half on the inner turf, optional claimer 62, non-winners of 2 other than.
Clayton Leinhardt entered for main correct only. We had Phil Bauer on yesterday, said he was doing the rain dance. Well, I don't
Listen, Phil, you can't get everything you want.
Or not. That was a fun interview, though. You can check that out on our YouTube
surprise.
page. Phil, Michelle Lovell was in yesterday. Richie Migliori was in as well. Matt Hegarty. It was a nice show yesterday, if you didn't get a chance to see it. But Phil just had red hot so far at the meet, and it was fun to kind of allow us to introduce him to people. I have it 3, 5, 7, and 1 in race number 7 at Saratoga. I'll put Balthus on top for Chad Brown and Peter Brandt. Broke the maiden 2 back, went right through the non-winners. So 1, as you said, it doesn't happen often. So I'm up against it a little bit. Just in moving a condition is kind of tough. But boy, the way this horse did it in those last 2, I think is set to run very well this afternoon. I am perfectly willing to acknowledge, though, it's a tough ask. Anytime you move one condition to the next condition, you'll see. Horses will take a start.
But he's a Galileo.
Figure it out. But man, he is very, very talented, though. Lightly raced and maybe still some upside potential. Caninos in the second spot. Just a little too far back last time, obviously. Tom Morley trainee first off the claim. They got ambitious and moved up a little bit, and as I say, he was kind of floating out in the back of the pack off some fractions that weren't a whole lot, and made a little move in the lane, but it was just a little too late. Now drops back down to the level of the claim. I think with the class move, we'll get a better effort. And Reigning Spirit in the third spot. Al Stahl, trainee, tried Stakes Company in a mile and a half last time down at Churchill and ran very well. I may have this horse rated a little bit lower than it deserves, but off the layoff and the other 2 just looked a little more intriguing to me. But for me, 3, 5, 7, and 1.
You know, I saw this race, differently than I have like 7 horses live here. I mean, I fear Baltus, who's 2-1 in the morning line, and I understand that.
I have no argument with your top pick. You draw a line through that last race.
Yes, you're like
squarely in it.
I think I'm right there. You talk about I'm not a matter of fact. Sometimes I use reverse engineering. I'm like, oh my goodness, look, his buyer speed figures does put him in the race at the top, and I don't see it. We're talking back to back 91s. I'm there. I'm 3 turns. Kendrick Carmouche saved ground on 2 of them. Pick any 2 you like to save ground and get out on the third. I have the 8 on top for Rudy Brissett, who, if it wasn't for Phil Bauer, we'd be talking about having a terrific meet with fewer than 10 runners. They take blinkers off today. Now, that's intriguing to me because those successful buyer speed figure numbers were done with blinkers. This isn't like we tried blinkers, it was a disaster, take them off. Maybe we've matured into it at 5 years of age. Baltus, to me, I'm not going to say the race goes through him because I think there's like 5 or 6 horses with their shoulders next to each other. Maybe Baltus is a little bit above them. As you said, tries to win 3 races in a row, does get the inside, is going to, fits in with about 5 others. And then for third, Reigning Spirit, last seen just getting beat at 60+ to 1, 837.
We move on to race number 8 on this Sunday afternoon. Don't forget, Sunday means low rollers, too. Up here at the racetrack every Thursday and Sunday. It's always a lot of fun over by the 4-star.
How's your season been going with that?
Boy, that first week I made a mistake in the last mistake. I was choosing between 2. I chose the wrong one, or I would have won. And then I had a series where I whiffed, and I think it was last Sunday. I think it was a week ago today. I came into the last couple of races sitting 15 maybe, and I was right there. If I had had a couple of clever opinions in the last two shots I took, I just didn't. But I was right there. Other than that, I've treaded water a little bit, but I'll be back at it again.
Most fun you can have for $10. You're only giving up the 10.
Yeah, because you're playing the 30.
The 30.
Keep what's
you're
on
playing
the
the other 30, so the fun is for $10.
And I will say a number of times I've beaten the contest. I haven't scored
one.
And in other words, I have $30 on the card, and at the end of the day, I have more than $30 on the card. So that's that you keep that as well. But all right, 8th race today at Saratoga. It's an allowance, non-winners of 1 other than 6 furlongs.
If you have more than $40 on the card, you beat the contest.
Yeah, you
get it all. 284, folks. Repealing for me, Al Stahl's runner. Second time versus winners. Debuted last summer at Saratoga. I think that was opening day, if I remember correct. Yeah, Echo Zulu. because she won by a pole on opening day. Good start coming back. I mean, just a term that I use. The muscle regression against winners the first time, but this is a race I'd be looking forward to. Tyler Gaffalione, I'm sure that was a fun flight back from California. For second, number 8, Baba Rudy Rodriguez, and for third, Chloe Rose, 2-8-4 in the 8th.
I also am going to put Repealing on top, 2-8-3-1. Repealing lightly raced. That middle race is bookended by a couple that are okay, at least the last one. And the last one may just have been one of those where, let me get some experience to that next level up. I'll look for this horse to get back to what we saw in the seasonal debut in the third start back. Second spot is Baba. Plenty of early speed from this one. Get kind of the outside attack post position that may be beneficial. And then Awesome Indra. Another interview worth watching. Going back a couple of days, Bill Morey was on with me. And I've heard some good feedback from people over on the front side. It's always fun to kind of be able to put a name and a face together,
Absolutely.
and that's why we have some of these folks on. And so again, Friday.
I hate to interrupt because it drives Gino crazy. That's one of the things I have said, that with social media, Twitter and Facebook, the big two, that when the race ends and you have the winner's circle picture, that all these racetracks should put them up like right away to, get them out there easily. Like, this is who Bill Morey is.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
And it again, good. I always ask, what's your background? How'd you get into
Absolutely.
the game and all that stuff? I think it's fun. Just allows people to know a little more about the people involved in the
Everybody's
game.
got a long way to go to beat Tom Amis.
Oh, that's
That's the answer we all want to hear on this desk.
Yeah, that was very good. But Awesome Indra was entered in a main track only event the other day. I think comes into this, off a try earlier in the meet that maybe was a little bit disappointing. I think the horse is better than that, and I would certainly, with Irod Ortiz on board, put that one in the hunt. In the 8th, I have a 2-8-3-1.
And for those who missed it, we had Tom Amis on 2 weeks ago, Thursday. He got into horse. He's no affiliation with horse racing through his family. Handicapping horses got him to the Kentucky Oaks winner's circle.
And then winds up rooming in college with Al Stahl.
Al Stahl. Unbelievable. It's great. It's great. Unbelievable. On to the 9th race. 2-year-old.
He got his first winner in a good parking spot too, so you can look up
That's
that
it.
story.
Bill Mott got the blanket or something, and Tom Amis got a parking spot with a red cone protected. I'm pretty sure the rail will not be at 227 feet, but it's 27 feet for the Bolton landing.
I didn't see that. Yes,
Well,
227 feet. They'd be running. They'd be
over
running on
there.
the apron.
They'd be at Kevin Cox's Bentwood over here starting.
I have a 2-4-9 and 8. Love Reigns on top. It is Wesley Ward with a turf sprinter, and a turf sprinter that they had enough talent to come out of the debut victory at Keeneland in April, and like Wesley Ward is wont to do, and we had him on earlier in the meet. But they went over and tried Royal Ascot. Field of 21, ran 4th. Now they come back to the United States. I think Love Range will be legit today. And given that scenario and given what people know about Wesley Ward, I'm going to be interested to see what the odds are. And I'm not saying 2-1 is wrong, particularly in a field this size. I'm just going to be interested to see where the betting public goes. Carey in the 2nd slot. Boy, I have to think this year's horse is better than we saw last time. The debut, or the Maiden Breaker, the debut was against the boys. The Maiden Breaker was very good, and off of that, went off favored in that Colleen and just tossed in a real clunker. I'm going to look for a rebound today. Sweet Harmony, on the other hand, won the Colleen to go 2 for 2 for John Terranova. So I think she is absolutely legit. Dance Macabre coming off the Maiden Breaker last time down at Colonial, I think could be very intriguing. This is a fun race, but I have a 2-4-9 and 8.
I am worried about my picks. Just to know, the Colleen is still a prep for the sorority because both of those are turf races. Carey is my top pick. We'll see what the jockey situation is this afternoon. I'm throwing out the effort, tough spot in between taking on Stakes Company after breaking the Maiden. I'll be lenient with that. I have the 8 with Luis Saez making the first time versus winner in 3rd career start. One on turf debut at Colonial for 3rd. Love Reigns. You know what I think is most interesting about the fact that I probably should have rated this horse better? Wesley Ward did not have his typical dynamic 2-year-olds early in the season. This was one of them, though, that played to the Wesley Ward, and then, as you said, 4th out of 21. It's pretty
I
good.
think he started the
4.82.
Keeneland meet a little slow, but then as it went on, he
Deeper
got
into the
back
meet?
he got back to Wesley Ward territory.
All right, one more.
Are we
Oh,
breaking?
quick break. Yes, quick break. When we come back, this week's finale.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Race number 10 this afternoon, scheduled to go off at 6:08. Why would they change 5 minutes all of a sudden this deep into the...
Well, yesterday they had one more race to make up for the 12:35 post, but they still had it earlier than the weekday 6:13 on Alabama Day, when you think there'd be a longer event after.
6:13 the whole meet.
In
Now it's
stone.
6:08 scheduled.
Must be the
post
sun.
time. Well,
Must be the sun.
I'm wondering. These are Maiden 40 claimers, mile and 16th on the grass.
I mean, the race goes through the 8. I mean, by and large, I mean, this is a race where I feel comfortable saying that. So I took a shot at a Gary Siaka, hopefully Joel Rosario 10-1 shot. I am 3.86 in the finale, and coming off of a 1 mile race where this was early in the meet when the rails were up, so being wide wasn't as god awful as it has been. Was on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but I'm taking Bella Shaza on top for a second, 6-5, and you might be lucky to get that in the 4th career start. Second time Lasix, second start of the year, and for third, number 6. It's a terrible word, but I love the name Miscreant. Making the 4th career start, all for a tag, second time turf, 3.86.
Yeah, I wonder what the story is there.
That is the story I would like to know.
I put vagaries on top. I don't think vagaries is necessarily a slam dunk, however, but with this team and dropping in for the tag, and again, just to the point where
you ain't getting 3-1.
You're late in the meet. And, no, we'll totally agree there. Candlestick maker for Rapoli and Bruce Levine, who's having a very nice meet himself, off the move up here to Saratoga that, I thought produced a decent effort. Gets a little extra class relief this afternoon. And Empress Theodora gets to the turf for only the second time in the career, having wanted it. I would assume, again, I would love to have the main track only note there, but I would assume they wanted to get to it a couple of times, but get back to the turf and in for the reduced tag today. 8, 9, 5, and 6. In the finale.
Theodora Grace won the finale a couple days ago, so you could have that little thing
going
going along
Theodoro parlay.
What do we have coming up on Loose at the Lead at the top of the hour besides the DePaula play of the day?
A big show with
show?
Steve Bick.
He's right outside the
myself.
window.
He is ready to roll. Travis Stone, I believe.
Travis Stone in town.
Wayne Catalano will join us. So,
Wayne posts a lot of. He and the Mig are battling it out for food pictures with Steve Bick on Twitter. The three of them dominate where I get to go for food when I'm in towns I'm not usually in.
No, what Catalano and Mig are cooking. Bick is visiting some joint.
You didn't have to throw him under his car like that. You could have left it alone.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. He's tossing out some recommendations here, there, or wherever.
Cool. I went to an ice cream shop he recommended in La Habra, California once. It was fun. It was worth it. It's a beautiful day, ladies and gentlemen. We wrap up week 6. Hard to believe. Nest, brilliant this summer at the track. Travis Stone in the house. Surprised he doesn't have a Knicks t-shirt on, but I guess that's the way it goes. He stays, I go. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great Sunday.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.